Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network. Hi, this is Amit Doshi, and I wanted to thank each and every one of our listeners. It's been 2 years since I founded IVM, and it's been an amazing 2 years. We wanted to learn a little bit more about who is listening to our shows, and so we put together a short survey. The survey is anonymous, and we aren't going to be collecting any personal information. I would really appreciate it if you could take a couple of minutes out of your day and go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and fill it out. Thanks, and please keep listening.
Hey, welcome to Geek Fruit Retcon, where we travel back in time to a previous episode from our inglorious history on the Geek Fruit podcast. Happy listening, you nerds.
Hi and welcome to Geek Fruit with me, Tejas and Jishnu. Hi Jishnu.
Hello.
I wish there were 4 of us in this episode, so then 4 of us could represent the 4 characters of the movie that we are going to be talking about today. Yeah?
Okay.
Yes?
Sure.
So if you've read the title of this episode, it's probably related because we haven't thought of it just yet. But it's probably related to the movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's for when they have a cow mutant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess technically that makes us the 2 evil henchmen. If you don't want to be...
But then one is not a cow. One's a rhino.
Well, yeah, they're not mutants either.
But you gotta consider the fact that Kevin Eastman, when he kind of wrote this comic book, was he just like a fan of animals? Because that's like a running theme throughout the whole. He's just
sure. Nobody in their right mind could have been like, hey, you know what would make a great narrative with really compelling characters and motivation?
Yeah.
A bunch of turtles that are ninjas and live in a sewer and fathered by a rat.
And cannot buy alcohol because they're below 18. I think.
Yeah, they're teenage.
Yeah. No, the other thing is that I believe they were also started off as they were also a parody. So this is just another concept that became bigger than the original idea itself.
I really wish I could have been there when they pitched this idea to like a network and was
so it was literally like they were just thinking of
toys.
Things. No, they were actually who they were parodying. They were supposed to parody Daredevil. It was Daredevil and 3 other main characters from other comics at the time. This is in the 80s sometime. Mm-hmm. And they were just like, let's just do that. And ultimately it got turned into this really, really dark reimagining. The version that we know now is so light and whimsical and things like that we don't actually know. The original is really, really dark and it's kind of very brutal and gory and things like that. So, yeah, and it was a black and white comic if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so, yeah. Have you seen the currently running Nickelodeon series?
I love it.
It's got a nice mix of dark.
It's amazing.
I
love that show. Yeah. And apparently, and this is what I've heard, and we'll talk about this more when we get to the main part of the show, but the original 90s, I don't know, they found a way to basically get the 90s version of the animated Turtles into this show also, like a time travel.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm trying to finish off the 2nd season just to reach that portion, just to see that. So apparently there's a crossover between. It's quite interesting.
But regardless of that, though, I think that it's got a nice balance between the silliness of the 80s, 90s, whenever that one came out, and this darker version that was the original thing. Because you're
talking about the CGI animated show.
The currently running Nickelodeon series.
Nickelodeon series.
So if you look at Raphael, he is as dark as he is in this movie.
Yeah.
Right? He's a very brooding sort of.
Which is strange because in the 90s he was just more of this sarcastic kind of guy,
But Michelangelo in this Nickelodeon series is like that 80s, 90s version, which is sort of.
He's even more goofy. Yeah, he's the youngest. So also he's just crazier than everybody else.
But still, he looks intimidating. They all have angry eyes.
Whereas they all look big.
The 80s version, the eyes were very lovable and puppy-eyed, kind of
the
bright
90s version. The animated series. But I think in the comics they were they were not as big built as the ones that they've depicted on screen. These guys are over 6 feet or something like that in whatever we've seen in the movies. Yeah. But yeah, man, in the original comics they weren't as big husky these huge guys, hefty guys, but they were.
But they always had that
they
Japanese samurai look about them, very anime influenced, and also they looked not mean, but they looked very intimidating.
Yeah, they looked intimidating.
And again, the 90s cartoon
Just made
lovable,
them very happy.
Very fun, very kid-friendly. You want to hug them. You want to be their friend. You want to have
pretty
pizza
much,
with them.
yeah.
But
wait, before we get into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I really want to man, I just had this thought though. We were talking about X-Men Apocalypse a couple of episodes ago. Man, this has been dwelling on my mind. You know what would have been amazing? If this Old Man Logan film was not coming out, this would have been a perfect place to introduce new Wolverine. And I was just like...
X-23.
No, the new Wolverine, like the new person who's going to be playing Wolverine in the movies.
Oh,
not Hugh Jackman, like the guy after them.
Oh,
I was like, that would have been perfect.
If he came out of the...
They should, yeah, exactly.
If he was wearing the
they should have just
Rift.
Tom Hollanded the intro of Wolverine. That would have been so great. Imagine you not only keep it a secret. Obviously, you can't keep it a secret, but get the new actor in. So I don't know if you've heard, but they're reshooting 40% of Rogue One, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reshooting it. Mm-hmm. And because they're trying to get it, in their own words, they said, we're trying to get some of the adventure and fun spirit back into this Star Wars story. And somebody's comment was yes, when many people died to, in this brutal, bloody battle to retrieve, plans of the Death Star, they want to make it more adventurous and light. I was like, fair enough. Okay, cool. But they're reshooting it. And one of the reasons why is because they want to include Han Solo into it, who was just cast the new Han Solo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
No, I mean, it's not a spoiler. I mean,
yeah.
He's there in the movie. And we spoke about it on this show that is he going to be there? And
which we should find out
when
they show us.
So he is. Apparently that they want to kind of, again, this is, but I feel like it's a no-brainer, man. They're probably gonna, and this, again, they're going to Tom Holland him into the film, which is, he'll get much less of a screen time than probably, because they're reshooting bits.
That's fine.
But yeah, they're just going to include this guy into
I didn't particularly bat an eyelid when I saw that they were doing reshoots, because it was people do reshoots every
all the time,
day.
yeah. But I've never known, almost half of the film is being reshot.
That's fine. It happens all the time.
I know about 20% of films are reshot. Avengers been shot, they did 2 reshoots.
Yeah.
Spielberg almost always does reshoots. Yeah. Michael Bay, James
it's not a problem that they're doing reshoots. I just don't want to know Jack. I want to go if there's any movie that I would like to maintain naivete with it's this one.
Fair enough.
And I'm fine with not do your reshoots.
Is that something that means that
recast for
does it mean that stuff from the trailer is not going to be there in the movie?
Maybe not. I couldn't care less.
Yeah, it's interesting.
End of the day,
it's weird, right?
The movie I see when my butt's in that seat is all I care about. I don't care how it got made. I don't care who made it. I don't care who was cast or recast or included, not included.
Yeah, fair
cameo,
enough. Yeah,
didn't
let them
cameo.
do they have to do their work.
In Star Wars, I trust, man. I don't care how you do it.
Yeah.
It's not my business.
Before we get into a break and then start talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who is your pick for new Wolverine? Who do you think would make a good new Wolverine?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Complete unknown.
A complete unknown?
I don't want any recognizable face, because it's kind of like a, how do I put it? It's sort of like the Harrison Ford thing. It's kind of he's done too many. Yeah. He's well embedded into our heads. That's his face. That's what Wolverine looks like. He looks like Hugh Jackman. So
yeah, that's true.
I'd rather not have somebody who I have preconceived notions about.
Yeah. I was thinking Tom Hardy, because he looks more like the comic book.
He'd be closer to Old Man Logan in his current age than I think he would be.
No, he's quite young. He's about 30 something. It's about when Hugh Jackman started. And Tom Hardy's Tom Hardy's quite young, man. And I mean, just after watching him in Warrior and movies like that, he looks closer to the comic book Wolverine, which is that short, that stout kind of aggressive.
I would love somebody. You know what? Okay, I take that back.
Yeah.
I would love.
Who would you like to see?
Danny DeVito. I want a short, angry man.
Fine, a short, angry man, but not
because he can
Danny
be bald. Because if he does wear the yellow suit and the whole thing, you can't see his hair.
Well,
cool.
We've not even had him once in the yellow suit in all these movies, man.
There's always time to fix that.
That's true, man. We have actually seen some more bizarre costumes and stuff.
But yeah, I would love to have a shorter Wolverine.
Yeah.
A guy with a dude with little man issues. He's why are you so angry? I'm just short, man.
Oh, hey, as a short person, that's completely untrue, I would say.
Then you're not that short.
I am quite short.
You're not that short.
Okay, thanks, Jishnu. I'll take your word for it. Okay, cool. We're gonna go for a break, and we're gonna come back and talk about some heroes in a half shell.
That's not funny.
Hey Dilnaz, have you tried sex toys?
No, I've not tried sex toys, but I've tried sex.
Sid, why are you asking me this weird question? Who talks about sex like that?
We do.
Really?
We do.
We also talk about dating, condoms, and orgasms.
On our show X and Y, where we have a casual conversation about sex and relationships in India.
X and Y is available every week on Stitcher, YouTube, the IVM podcast app, or any other podcasting app you prefer.
So I guess we do talk about sex. Like that.
Hello again.
Yes, you're listening to Geek Fruit. Geek Fruit. We really need to learn how to say this name. And, hey, by the way, the Geek Fruit logo looks like Donatello.
Yes, same colors.
Yeah, exact same colors. Oh.
Is it the exact same colors?
Well, shade up and down, but it's fine. A hex code.
Maybe
100
it
points
should
up and down.
Maybe we should make it the same colors.
Yeah.
Well, it is the same. It's a Joker color, right?
The Joker, the Hulk. Yeah. Well, a bunch of characters have embodied the purple green like we have. So.
And when I think about it, I think all three of those characters wear a different piece of clothing that is purple.
As in, one wears a bandana.
Bruce has the pants. One wears the bandana and the armbands and the knee pads. One wears the
suit.
jacket
it's a suit,
and the pants.
Yeah, so the Joker's kind of like the well-dressed gentleman version of the purple green.
He is the gentleman criminal.
He's really not at all. I mean, like,
if James Bond's the gentleman spy, I guess that makes him the gentleman masochist. And
yeah, he's a sociopath. He's a
genocidal maniac.
Yeah, he's not a genocidal maniac. He's just a serial killer.
Well, I mean, how many kills? How many times do you have to kill serially to be considered genocidal?
Well, it depends on the
What's
target
the number?
Group. I mean, like,
let's do a case study.
He's done.
So if I come to you and say,
criminals.
"Hey, Tejas, man, I had a hard night last night." Like, what'd you do? It's like, "Hey, so I killed like 2 people." He's like, "Oh, wow."
Which 2 people did you kill? What were their ethnicities?
Ram and Shyam.
Oh God, you're going after some people that are this city in particular are quite fond of.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were
atheists. Sorry.
What?
Oh, sorry. No.
How did you get atheists from Ram and Shyam?
Oh, I don't know.
They're just my 2 buddies that live in Dadar Colony East.
Oh yes. Well, we're going close now. Okay.
But if I killed 5 people, would I be considered a serial killer or a genocidal maniac?
You're not a genocidal maniac.
If I kill 10 people.
No, you have to kill a whole. You have to kill a whole a group of people. Like you have to try and eradicate a species. Like
I killed off Ram and Shyam's entire lineage. Their parents, their grandparents.
You're only killing one family.
Their unborn babies.
That's a vendetta.
Yeah, but so I mean, it's okay. It's a whole. Okay, I killed off the entire Dadar colony that they lived in.
That definitely counts as genocide then.
So, but it was a brand new building, so it wasn't entirely full. Like, there weren't all the tenants that had moved in yet. It was like only about half full, so maybe like 25 people.
Well, you're on your way.
So have I become a genocidal maniac? It's only 25 people.
Yeah, if you're a maniac, that means you're attempting to be a genocidal person.
Right, I'm a man with ambition. I don't like sit around doing nothing.
Yeah, like Hitler. Hitler's not a genocidal maniac because he didn't complete the job.
He got pretty damn far.
Yeah, he got
far enough. I would consider, listen, on the spectrum of genocidal maniacs, I think Hitler
ranks number 1 because he was
damn high. Yeah.
Him and probably, I don't know, Genghis Khan, because like he tried to...
Sure, I mean, Attila Khan, Genghis Khan, Alexander.
Well, they tried to kill the Chinese, right, basically.
Yes,
because the Huns were after that. I don't know if you guys saw Mulan, but that was like the reference I was drawing here. Anyway. Okay, cool. So coming back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. About as absurd as this conversation was. So when was your introduction to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man, Jishnu?
When I was probably 7,
you
6.
You started watching the cartoons,
of course. Yeah. I don't know which came first. It was probably the cartoon, followed quickly by a Sega side-scrolling game.
Dude, that game.
Something in the sewers.
So good.
Out of the
in
the sewer.
It was called something. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And
dude, that was so great.
It was a beautiful
Did you
game.
ever play 2-player? Like,
yeah, of course.
So would you ever fight with your, I don't know, I guess with your brother?
My brother.
The pizzas that would come with the health?
Yeah,
and you would keep saying, oh my god, I have lesser health. No,
you
have lesser health.
You do the thing where it would be the 2 of you fighting and then like the pizza would like appear because you killed one guy. And you're like, oh cool, I'm dying. And then the guy you're playing with is like, oh cool, alright fine, I'll save it for you. I won't touch it. And as you run to get it, he's like, nah, just kidding. Like, you run.
We both had elder brothers. So, I mean, we both still have elder brothers so far. So, I mean, yeah, I know how you feel. But
unless a genocidal maniac comes in the picture and decides to have a vendetta.
If he was a genocidal maniac, we would both be under the radar because technically we are both
unless we do a really good job of running away.
Like some people did from one certain genocidal maniac. Anyway, moving on. Which was actually featured in the X-Men Apocalypse. How did you feel about that Auschwitz scene, by the way?
I felt that Olivia Munn was dressed very inappropriately for Auschwitz.
Well, that's what some people said. Basha Datta, who works with us at Geek Fruit, she was just like making this, there was a meme apparently she was telling me about. So like in X-Men Apocalypse, basically Apocalypse's main job is giving everybody makeovers.
Yeah.
And he looks at
He was Tim Gunn. He was Tim Gunn the whole way through.
He looks at Angel and he's like, okay, I'm gonna give you some tats on your face.
Make it fabulous!
Yeah. And he's like, looks at Magneto, he's like, I'm gonna suit you up. He looks at like Storm, he's like, you can get this white kind of hairdo kind of thing. And he looks at Psylocke and he's like, no, you're good.
You're fine.
You're fine. Okay, cool. So coming back.
Did she say any words?
She said, who are you looking for? That's pretty much it. It means when she's with Caliban, that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And she just, when she's fighting, that's about it. That's about as close to the sound.
How do you spell that? How is that in the script?
ENGH.
Isn't it just ang?
Yeah.
Ang.
Yeah, I usually say that for... That's what it is. Anyway, so don't sample this, anybody. Coming back, we have to keep coming back. Why is this movie so distracting? Why we can't talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Because I don't think the movie itself merits or warrants any serious debate about anything.
True.
That's what I like so much more about this one.
One thing, did you like this movie?
I really liked it.
I really liked it.
I really liked it, but I still give it a 7. And I'm perfectly okay with that, and I think they are too.
So, again...
I think the general vibe of this movie is that they knew exactly what they were doing.
For sure.
And they had no aspirations to win any awards.
Except
other than
MTV Movie Awards.
Except People's Choice Awards and like to get slimed and stuff like that.
Kids' Teen Awards. And Nickelodeon Awards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that they did exactly what they should have done, which is completely just piss into the wind and make something silly and goofy and just something outright fun in the same
but it's
with the same vibe as
it's improved so much from the first movie.
Yeah, absolutely, because I think the first movie tried to be serious. Like every single movie these days is very gritty, very dark,
so true.
Gritty reboot, the whole kind of thing that
everyone's
Michael Bay
doing,
is famous for at this point. So
yeah, I just love that this one was so light. And like literally I was in the theater watching this. I was like, wow, I'm having such a good time not thinking so hard about why this shouldn't work.
Because there were a lot of things that, that they repeated from the first one that bugged me the first time around, which didn't bug me now because I was like, you know what? I just have to accept it and get over that fact. Yeah. Once I see past the fact that Megan Fox can't act to save her life.
Yeah, she's bad.
But still, April O'Neil has to function as the character that always will give them the one little thing they need at the very last second to make sure that they save their life.
But she had such less screen time in this, which I'm so happy for.
Which is great.
Yeah, it's much better.
So I didn't mind the fact that she acts horribly. I didn't mind the fact that the turtles look bizarrely scary at some point,
but awesome.
It's silly. It's fun. It makes no sense.
These 4 turtles, they're excellent, man. I love them. I think they've done an excellent job. Like I saw some of the featurettes for the motion capture. First of all, dude, some of the motion capture in this film is like phenomenal. I was just watching the scene when they're going to basically very Daredevil season 1 finale episode where they're trying to stop Shredder from escaping, and they're in that turtle van and stuff. And I was just looking at this entire thing, and this is also, funnily enough, one of my criticisms that the last third of the film was too much CGI. That entire sequence is CGI.
True.
And again, it's okay, but just looking at the scene, I was just, and they're in this, this van, the garbage truck, and they're just doing this stuff, and I was like, I can't believe this is so, like, scarily accurate to how, if I ever saw turtles alive, it would look.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's great.
Amazing CGI, amazing motion capture, and these guys, like these 4 pretty much unknown actors, have brought so much life into these characters. I mean, every single one of them is realistically like depicted in the sense that, they have humans behind them. And I guess that's the whole beauty of motion capture and having these expressions on their faces and stuff. And so my thing about this film is that, while, they did piss into the wind, as you say, and went for like this completely, they're going for this lighthearted kind of look at it. I feel like, if they just worked a little harder, this could have been a good movie. Like, there are a few concepts in this film, if explored, would have been really good. One is obviously the whole thing about, this team not functioning together. That's always been a mainstay of the Turtles.
Civil War.
Yeah. So, no, and it's been there because Raphael and,
nobody's arguing
even in the 90s animated movie, cartoon, even though Raphael is not like this big brute who fights aggressively, even though he's a sarcastic one, they still have like these moments where Leonardo finally, doesn't believe in himself and he leaves the team. I don't know if you remember that episode.
No, I don't.
He leaves the Turtles, okay? And he wears like civilian clothes and he just leaves.
He wears a trench coat and a hat.
And
yes,
a hat, right?
That's their go-to human attire.
And he just leaves the group. So I remember, this is a very important part of the thing. And the whole mutagen turning them back into humans could have been really, really well explored.
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely had that idea. The movie's titled Out of the Shadows and about them, coming out of hiding and being afraid of being accepted by public. So I think there was a good idea somewhere here in this movie, which then they just throw it away because they just went for the last third action
silly,
sequence. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there is an idea here. I hope, and I guess, will there be a sequel to this?
I really hope there will be because like the last thing Krang said is "I'll be back," which is great because he never says anything but "I'll be back."
Yeah, and the problem is that this is the other problem. Shredder's set up in this movie as, Shredder.
And he didn't do anything.
And then the last sequence, he's like cryogenically Winter Soldiered, and he's just like put away for the next movie.
Exactly. So I'm totally cool with that ending because this is the kind of thing that...
No, but it felt like a bit of a... hey, why did we work on finding you all this time?
Because honestly, like the Turtles is the kind of thing that I am going to be, I think, I don't want to say forever, but I feel like far longer than with most any other franchise or any other film of any kind. Totally okay with it not having not having an ending, but also not exploring a real thing like you say about like the family and the connection. Like, because that is there's definitely
upon it.
There's a seed. There's definitely a seed there that you could definitely sow, and you could get a really solid real drama out of that.
Yeah, and but there was a little bit of it in this, and that was great.
And it wasn't overkill.
It wasn't overkill. Yeah.
There was really no significant moment where I was like face palming, going, "Why are you taking yourself so seriously? I'm not gonna cry for you because you are a weird looking turtle." I can only feel sorry for you up to an extent, and it's not an extent to in which I can last through a 2-hour film where you like are genuinely exploring the deep human connection between these guys.
I mean, you don't want to see it happen with the turtles, I guess, because the turtles are always
let them be a silly movie and keep it kid friendly, keep it over the top, and just...
There's this one scene which actually I thought about it, and I was like, this perfectly encapsulates the turtles, like, their camaraderie and, their brotherhood and things like that. It's just like, the one scene before this, they're like fighting and they're just like, no, how could you do this to me, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And then the next scene, they're on that flight to like Brazil or whatever it is. And like, it was so good because, Raphael, he jumps last and, he comes out of the thing and he falls. Yeah. And Leonardo like jumps off the plane and he does this awesome thing, and like then Raphael uses a sigh and he says good catch, and they both look at each other and they're just like thrilled and they're just happy and it's good. And that's about as fleeting as their relationships fights go. It's it's like brothers, man. Like one moment they're like fighting and one moment they're just like having a ball of time. And the other part of that scene is just so good, and this is what I love about it, is that this plane is crashing. It's like, and they could die, pretty much. But none of them take it like, oh, we're about to die, oh my god, let's do something. No one's freaking out. Everyone's just chilling out, laughing, and just like, okay, cool.
The stakes, even when they're in the Technodrome fighting Krang and like
nothing.
Even the big boss battle, the stakes are never so high.
Yeah, they're just like, in fact, it was higher when they were fighting Shredder in the first film. Yeah.
And again, because the first movie just took itself far more seriously.
Much more seriously. Yeah.
And I genuinely can't remember a damn thing about the first movie.
Yeah.
Like, I really cannot remember anything about
the first movie. Had, so I just want to talk a little bit about the origin stories. The origin stories they had changed it for this film. In the comic books and in the cartoons, it was basically two ninjas from, like, Japan who were fighting against each other. One was Oriko Saki, who is the Shredder, and one is, Hamada, whatever, Yoshi. Yeah. Okay, and that's, Splinter. And they were both ninjas who basically, then, because of Shredder's work with Krang and, Dimension X and the mutagen, this entire fate befalls them that, these 4 pet turtles that, Splinter has, they get imbued with these powers and whatever they grow up. And so does Splinter, and he becomes a rat. And that's why Splinter can teach them and train them to become, these anthropomorphic, ninjas, is because he's a ninja. Yeah. And also, that was a much better story than what they've done now, which is that, there were these 4 turtles, and they were the pets of the scientist, and they made Oriko Saki Eric Sachs, who was William Fichtner in the first film. And Shredder was just like another guy. He was a separate guy. And basically they become, and they explain that so Splinter is just a regular rat, who basically, because of the mutagen, he grows up and becomes this old rat. And he teaches them ninja.
So it's not a mutagen, it's just an ageogen. He just becomes older.
Yeah, I mean, he's already an old rat. Okay, and the mutagen already falls on this old rat, so he just like grows up old. And the thing is that he teaches them ninja because he reads a book. It's pretty much the equivalent of Ratatouille in Ratatouille, where Remy learns to cook from that book. So he basically teaches them like, karate and kung fu from a book, which I thought was quite silly. But then, nobody's, asking for some Nolan-esque
But see, like this movie was never like more than 2 steps away from like them just YouTubing how to be a ninja.
Pretty much,
so
yeah. And there's a lot of great references and, stuff like to that kind of culture. Yeah, it's quite good. Man, there's some really, really funny moments.
It was great. Okay, so I want to run through really quick just the new things that we've seen in this movie that weren't in the first one that are just references to the original series, like things that we new toys that we saw, a lot of stuff. So obviously the biggest thing is that Bebop and Rocksteady were in this one. They were not in the previous one, and this is the first time we've seen them
live action.
Genuinely. Yeah. Live action, because there was the
CGI 80s animated film.
No, was it?
That came out earlier in this last decade.
Which one was it? I forget which one it was. Yeah. A live action one where they couldn't get the rights to have Bebop and Rocksteady, so they had I forget what they were called. They had a different name, but they were basically just Bebop and Rocksteady Light. So they were the same concept. They were mutants made by animals and humans, and then they're like the big henchmen, and they're silly. I mean, like
I must have missed one of the million films that have come out from this franchise. Yeah, so, but as far as I remember, there's the comic books, there's the animated series, there's the CGI movie which came out earlier, I think 2008. It was a complete CGI movie, and it was also Nickelodeon if I'm not mistaken. And that did okay, didn't do too well, but it was interesting because that also had a really nice kind of darkish story, and Casey was in that. And then immediately after the success of the television show, the new Nickelodeon animated show, they greenlit this one, and so this movie happened. So I don't know about another film that happened.
But I was just very, very excited to see
Bebop and they were fine. They were silly.
Great. I thought they were brilliant, and honestly,
perfectly like the animated show. Yeah,
they were beautifully done because. One,
the mohawk,
the mohawk and everything. I mean, like the thing is, like you said, the CGI, like especially in the last third of it, was over the top, and that's kind of why I thought to myself for a second, I was like, I'm actually kind of glad Michael Bay is doing this because Michael Bay is not a master of writing, but he does know how to make explosions look cool.
Yeah, he does,
and
there's some really good stuff.
And the turtles are silly and cool. The turtles have to like they don't have to be compelling, but they have to like be fun, and you have to just believe the world that they're in, which is a completely nonsensical world. Right?
And they've nailed that. They've nailed the.
So Bebop and Rocksteady, like they look, they're amazingly well animated.
Yeah, that's true.
And the personalities that they have are exactly like that show, 80s, 90s, whatever that
show,
era.
Show,
everything that was about Bebop and Rocksteady in that era is perfectly done. And again, another thing I find myself being gravitated towards is the idea of professional wrestlers from the WWE getting into action movies.
That's true.
Because when I think about it...
only this guy was. Only
Sheamus,
Sheamus,
so between The Rock, between Batista, and between Stone Cold Steve Austin briefly in The Expendables...
And The Condemned.
I like the idea of these guys getting into action movies, especially silly action movies like this one, because the WWE is the exact same thing.
Yeah, it is.
You're professional stuntmen. You have to put on a show and ham it up.
And they're actors,
they're
the reason why The Rock is so successful today, man. He's a great actor.
So these guys, they know how to play to a crowd. They know how to keep the energy going. They know how to like deliver lines. They know how to make you laugh. They know how to like make you believe them.
In that over the top way.
So this is like, this movie is a brilliant movie of this franchise for like wrestlers to get into.
Having said that, even Batista, I mean, like in
Guardians, he's amazing,
and he's got a great comedic role. Like it's just a lot of like deadpan like lines that he delivers.
I'm really looking forward to Guardians 2 because we're gonna get to know more about his family.
And I mean, he has a tragic backstory.
Exactly. So I want to see his acting chops come out. That'll be very interesting.
You know that whole scene in Nowhere when they're in that skull planet. I mean, like, and he gets drunk. And he's just like, and he's just raging out and stuff. Yeah. He's a great actor, man. Like he was quite well delivered. Yeah.
So I was very
definitely
like
that. I did feel this movie though, the TMNT Out of the Shadows. I felt like one problem it did. I mean, not one problem, but like one of the things it could have done was not include so much. I feel like there were too many subplots going on. there was a lot of characters increase in this. I mean, like, so we had Bebop Rocksteady. We had Baxter Stockman, who I feel like he was, and played really well by Tyler Perry.
I was so pleased to
he was
see
great.
that.
But I mean, I'm glad they didn't make him his Fly version, like, already. Like, I mean, like, I thought
I'm hoping they save it. I'm hoping they save it.
They should. In fact, there was an interview that he said, I'm hoping that, you know, in the sequel to this, he would most probably obviously become that. And he's great. Like, he hammed it up really well. Like, in that first scene with Megan Fox.
So
and
good.
he just laughs.
Although, really quick point though, if I can interject, is that I think the one thing that threw me off every now and again whenever I saw scenes with him and Shredder standing side by side is that Tyler Perry is actually a big guy.
He's huge.
Now, I did not mind at all the fact that they didn't keep him like a tiny, nerdy, like old...
Like the 90s show,
The 90s show, like, he was an older guy that seemed like in his, like, middle-aged and, like, long, crazy hair. Sort of like Doc Brown, but like a younger version of Doc Brown. So I'm totally cool. Like, you make him black, you make him young, he's very intelligent,
so
he's articulate.
He's black in the animated show, the CGI Nickelodeon show.
So I didn't mind all those character trope changes. Like, I don't mind that he's younger, he's very well spoken, he's very intelligent, he's silly,
he's
but
supposed to be intelligent,
So all that's fine. Just the stature, like, always kept throwing me off. The fact that, like, when he gets double crossed by Shredder and the foot soldiers, like, take him away, the guys that are pulling him away are like half his size, and he's not really fighting back. I'm like,
so he's not, I mean, like, in this, I guess they've kind of made him a bumbling oaf. Like, he's a big guy, he doesn't know what to do with his strength, with all this. So I guess that might even play into the fact when he becomes a villain.
That'd
so
be
he might be like a very powerful figure. So yeah, definitely that. So his inclusion. Then there was also Casey Jones. Let's talk a bit about Casey.
Let's please.
So obviously we know Casey from one show, Arrow, obviously. And I like Stephen Amell. I mean, like, I always felt like he's a great athletic figure. Even those first promos that ever came out for Arrow, when he's doing that little, you know, bench
that
pressing.
American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, the American Ninja Warrior. It was like really awesomely, like, he ripped, right? Like this guy. And like, and over the course of the show, he is allegedly becoming better actor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, definitely, I like Stephen Amell. I like whenever they do the crossovers, I like his presence as a, you know, more brooding kind of guy.
I thought he was fine.
He was good in this.
I was hoping to see him get more Casey.
Yeah, he has to get more crazier, you know, like, he's such a dude guy. And his friendship
he's a little too likable.
Yeah, he's supposed to be best friends with Raphael. That's how they kind of bond in the cartoons.
Because they're both jokes.
They're both jocks, and, you know, they're both like, you know, like, I mean, like, they're both like, dude, what's up, dude? You know, and I remember in the movies, not the animated show, the movies, he and these guys, they just get along really well, and he's got long hair and and he's like, I guess that's an affectation of the 90s and all that stuff. But yeah, in this movie, he was like this more like kind of, he's a cop, they've given him a backstory and stuff like that.
That was the one thing that kind of like, caught me off guard, the fact that they made him such a likable character that you can root for the entire time, because like he says like, I just want to be a detective, I want to like,
they made it aspirational.
Like, they made him a compelling guy who like you empathize with. I was like, in both iterations of the cartoon that I've seen. So actually last night, once after seeing the movie, I went back and watched both versions of the introduction to Casey Jones in the animated series. The 90s version, and then the recent Nickelodeon version. Both. I saw them back to back.
Yeah.
And
he's cool.
in both of them, he's very monosyllabic.
Yeah.
He is very one-track minded.
Yeah.
And actually, in the 80s version, he is nothing but a pun machine. Like,
pretty much.
Every single line he has is a one-liner, and it's amazing because his delivery is so like it's sort of like Clint Eastwood meets
the 80s.
It's Clint Eastwood meets just a really shitty stand-up comic.
Yeah,
it's just like it's clobbering time.
Yeah, okay.
You need the long arm of the law. I'm gonna hang you out to dry.
Okay, so
that's
what
all he says. Like,
why is he so much of an outlaw? I mean, like, he's a vigilante.
He's a vigilante, right? Yeah. And so like that. So the 90s cartoon, when he's mixed with side by side with the lovable turtles in that iteration of it, he seems that much more drab and droll, because they're like, well, hey guys, where are we going? Oh my God, who's he? And he's like, I'm gonna hit you with my baseball bat, because that's all I do.
Okay, cool.
I enjoyed that juxtaposition, and in this one, he was, I think, very likable.
Yeah, I think my favorite version of him is in the movies, the live action movies which came out before the 90s ones, and he's just like a dude in that, you know, and I like that. I like that surfer vibe that he gives off in that, and he's always wearing like, you know, that like Gunji, and he's got that shirt tied around his waist and
Do you
things
notice
like
that said Gunji that he wears is cut off at his belly button? So he actually, Megan Fox's character in this movie has copied Casey Jones's original attire.
Oh, right. Because
it looks really weird, because the cartoon, he's wearing sweatpants.
Sweatpants and
a Gunji that's cut off. So you see his belly, but it's like, wait.
He's wearing a tank top, yeah.
Yeah,
dudes rocked that in the 80s, man.
It was bizarre. It's like, you look like Freddy Krueger meets Megan Fox, I guess.
Yeah, somebody makes a reference to that, right?
Yeah.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
He's like, get Friday the 13th along.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back in a bit.
Who's ahead in the league and what's cooking off the pitch? We at TFG bring all that you need to know about Indian football. Discussions, debate, banter, in-depth analysis with a touch of fun and fandom. This is the TFG Indian Football Podcast, and we're a daily show. So check us out on YouTube and various other podcasting apps like iTunes, Audioboom, SoundCloud, etc.
More things.
We're back
to talk about more things.
We are talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Have you noticed that in the posters for these movies, like Teenage Mutant is almost like it's like a subtitle, as in a super title. Yeah,
because it's just a very long name.
Yeah, and Ninja Turtles is the main name of the film. So
much.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering. Because which adjectives would you use out of those four? I mean, out of those three to kind of describe the turtles best, if you could only pick one.
Definitely not teenage.
But that's the most thing. That's the most about them.
Not really.
Not
really. Like,
they're teenagers.
In this iteration, it's very inconsequential.
Okay, take away the ninja and the mutant. If you had teenage turtles, they would behave exactly like how they behave.
No, if they were teenage turtles, they would be like the size of your palm.
No. I'm saying behavior-wise.
Yeah, if they were just a teenage turtle,
teenage
and not a
refers
mutant.
to the attitude. Mutant refers to the size, and ninja refers to their
skill.
abilities. Yeah. So I'm saying, if you just take all of those away, teenage is their real personality.
Sure.
They should be teenage turtles.
They are teenage turtles.
I mean, I'm saying that would be the most.
That would not sell the movie though, because that would literally be a movie about turtles in a terrarium,
smoking doobs.
No, because they wouldn't be like people. But they would be real turtles.
Oh, but at that age
yes,
range.
they would be like
but when we're saying
your
teenage,
palm-sized turtle.
When we're saying teenage, I'm referring to the attitude and personality, and not the actual age. Not the demographic.
Like your cat is technically teenage.
My cat is it's 1 year old. So 1 year old.
How old is that?
So the first year is supposed to be 20 years.
Damn.
Yeah, and the second year is 15, and then after that ages by 1 year. So my cats are like 20-ish.
So they're single and ready to mingle.
Yeah. And they have mingled.
They've mingled already. We know.
They have mingled.
Let's not get into that though.
Yeah. My cat had an abortion. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, cool. So
Krang, right?
Krang.
How about that Krang?
Let's talk about Krang.
I highly enjoyed Krang.
Yeah, of course.
I was so pleased.
Let me preface it.
Oh.
So, who was supposed to voice Krang before? And they announced this. They said Fred Armisen was supposed to voice Krang.
Oh,
and I was really excited about that because I was just like, dude, I love Fred Armisen.
Who did this one?
So it was Brad Garrett. It was Brad Garrett, obviously.
Wait, from Everybody Loves
Raymond's brother, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it was.
I can't believe that.
I'm serious. I am not joking. It was Brad Garrett.
I cannot believe that.
And he has done a really...
It was beautiful. His voice was amazing. It was so accurate to the 90s thing.
No, it wasn't accurate at all. It was crazy, but that,
it's sort of like
what you did just now?
Yeah, like the mayor from the Powerpuff Girls. He's like, Blossom, the turtles, wow.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
See, that's exactly Krang from the first animated show we have ever seen.
Right.
This was more of like heavy, but crazy.
Exactly, yeah.
So he had like Scooby-Doo.
Right, yeah. He had to be intimidating because he's the big baddie.
Yeah,
so he couldn't be as comical. And that's exactly why I enjoyed it so much, is because I was the minute I saw that like Dimension X is opening up, I was like, oh my god, they're bringing Krang into this.
Dude, the first time we saw Krang, I was like, wow.
I was so impressed. This is why I'm saying I'm glad Michael Bay was in charge of this.
And I know we both hadn't seen any many trailers.
No,
of this, right?
Exactly.
So it was great to like suddenly
that reveal just
great.
made my night. I was like, this looks good.
Yeah.
This actually looks good. Yeah. And the robot suit, like it's a perfect.
Yeah, it was a perfect adaptation. Of this.
It looked beautiful. So that's why I didn't mind that the entire third act was completely so CGI because I was like, you're dealing with 4 turtles and a brain guy.
And
if it's not CGI, what else are you gonna do?
I was watching this movie with Bashab, and like she's not familiar with Teenage Mutant. In fact, I had to stop her from watching the Emilia Clarke love story, which is in theaters. And I was like, let's go do this. She's like, okay, cool, let's go get a drink first. So we had a couple of drinks and went in for this movie. So it was amazing. And the moment he's like, I would like to bring in my Technodrome. And I was like, what? Yeah. Technodrome? Oh my God. Yeah. I lost, There were a few moments like, even like when they press the horn for their thing, it was I was just like, dude, that's amazing. So a few things like that I really enjoyed. So
speaking of the machine.
Even his cell phone ringtone is that.
Whose cell phone?
His SMS ringtone, one of their phones, nice. Is also.
What I really enjoyed about the adaptation of the Turtlemobile or the van or whatever the hell it's called. What is it actually? Does it have a name? I'm sure it has a name.
The van?
Yeah, the Turtle van.
Yeah, I guess it's called. Anyway, I know there's a name for it. Yeah. We'll find out.
So again, like I said, when I rewatched the original series last night, I saw the van and I was like, the van is actually very sparse on the inside. There's actually nothing in the van. They have like a radar and like a GPS.
It's like the Mystery Machine.
They have a very primitive, iPhone
and probably a waterbed.
They have an iPhone that's the size of the van in their van, right? In the original show, because it does everything that an iPhone can do, basically. So
technology.
I'm glad that this adaptation actually makes perfect sense that it's a garbage van that fires sewer manhole covers because the original van just has one manhole cover in the front of it. I was like,
that's
great.
The whole point,
So like, if you're gonna fire anything, fire more of those things.
Yeah.
And then like, I love the arms that come out. It's so comical, just like blah, blah, blah.
It's hilarious.
It's great. It's so dumb.
And that one moment, I think it's Casey Jones is just explaining. He's like, yeah, it was a garbage truck and it was shooting manhole covers, and they're just looking at him. It's like, even they're just like, this is ridiculous. So I loved that. I thought that was really, really, really hilarious. And
okay. I'm looking at a picture of the old Turtle van. It had teeth as the bumper.
It had teeth.
It had teeth as the bumper. That was a nice touch. I wish they had.
As in like the grill of the.
But either
vehicle.
way,
no, but
this
it was
beautiful.
Funny.
This was
I remember there was
adaptation.
one really great episode in the animated show when they're completely confined to the van. It's when I think the city is flooded. Okay, the whole city is flooded. I remember, and they're just like everyone is in water, and like it's like really like high, and high sea level or whatever it is, and like they're just in that van the whole time, and they use it as like it becomes a water, like a hydro kind of thing, and it was
amphibious transport.
And it was so funny because I was like, they are amphibious, they can just swim pretty much.
It was also apparently known as the party wagon, which I guess is very appropriate.
It's probably a Michelangelo term.
So speaking of that, now that you mentioned this whole this flooding episode and whatnot, so you think about it, these guys. Again, in the 90s cartoon, are far more surfer dude than they've ever been, right?
Yeah, Cowabunga.
So they originated as these, like, uber Californian, surfer guys who, like, have that typical accent,
I mean, like,
right?
if you remade
South
them...
Beach kind of accent, like...
Yeah. If you remade them now, in today's world, they would be hipsters. Like, that's... because that was the time of the day, that was the moment.
But
that
so what kind of confuses me though is like, so they use words like, radical and dude and bro and all the stuff like that.
They were basically stoners.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
They're on the East Coast in New York.
This
where,
is
like,
very true though.
Their attitude is so laid back and like easygoing. One, obviously they're zen because of bloody ninjas.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're all about like cowabunga and surfing and stuff like that. Like, you don't do that in New York. New York is like full of angry people. Yeah. So it's actually funny because like Brad Garrett, if he wanted to be true to what Krang in New York City would be like, he would just be a really angry person that's just like flipping the bird to everybody and just like hates life and has constant road rage.
Would embody that role so well also,
So it's actually, it's a good tribute to their ninja zenness that they're able to be so calm and relaxed.
Yeah, definitely. You know who, by the way, speaking of which, you know who plays Splinter? Who? It's Tony Shalhoub. Monk.
What?
Yeah. That's great, isn't it?
Oh
So yeah. So they had a very interesting lineup, I'd say, of characters, like including Brad Garrett and Tony Shalhoub in that sense. Yeah, just really bizarre, and I just anyway, I just want to talk about Krang a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So Krang is definitely bizarre enough for us to see him again. I love that robot.
Really
yeah,
so.
Definitely. I would like to see the next movie, I think, probably move into Dimension X.
I would definitely want to see
because Dimension X is like a very critical part of the storyline, And they did have this one also in it. I can't remember her name. I think it's I can't remember. Karai. So Karai is there in this movie. and she's supposed to be Shredder's daughter. And basically in the
was she in the animated series?
She was not in the animated series.
I did not recognize her at all.
But she's in she's basically from the comic books, and she's also there in the new CGI, the new animated show from Nickelodeon. And Karai is basically, I think she has not a relationship, but basically she kind of, has this kind of flirtatious thing with, I think, Leonardo. And, basically because she is, she's kind of an anti-hero. Basically, she's Shredder's daughter, but she kind of flips over to the other side and says, no, what you're doing is wrong, and I want to support the Turtles. But she's very, like, kind of Black Widow in that sense that she keeps going back and forth.
Well, then you know what? Her supervillain alias, if she's the anti-hero to Shredder, it should be Sellotape.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, photocopy, but sure. Anyway, so, yeah, man. Oh, God. That joke needed Sellotape. Okay, cool. So, we are talking about Krang. So, the other thing that they've done in the animated show that they've not kind of done here is that, all the Foot Clan have a Krang in them. Yeah, in the animated show. And they have, like, tiny brains in their body. And so the Foot Clan are not humanoid. They're like these
They're all robots.
They're all robots, yeah. And Krang Prime is the main Krang. So I don't think they've done that in this movie. They don't have to really explain. I mean, the animated show has done a lot to explain why things are a certain way.
I think of the Foot Clan as the Stormtroopers.
Yeah,
they're useless. They're just there to like have strength in numbers.
Yeah, because I mean, Will Arnett playing Vern basically takes down a Foot Clan, a foot soldier. Yeah,
no, he took down him and friggin' Megan Fox took down Karai in like less than 30 seconds. I remember when we were watching it, when we were watching it, I looked away for all of like 2 seconds. Right? Yeah. For whatever reason. I looked away for 2 seconds. Next thing I know, she's gone. Karai's disappeared. I was like, wait, where'd she go? And like, I guess she's lying on the floor because she got beaten up by Megan Fox.
Yeah, and Karai's a proper soldier. Like,
she doesn't do a thing. She doesn't lift a finger in the entire movie.
She just looks menacing and is
like, there's one slow pan shot, like, pulling focus onto like, she's gonna be really intimidating. And then 3 seconds later, Megan Fox takes like, I don't know what the hell she took, like a food tray. I don't know what the hell she had in her hand, a plate or something. And boom, that's it.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So they will never be anything above Stormtroopers.
I guess, but I mean, Karai is a really good character. I hope she comes back in a stronger kind of avatar.
So, is there any particular sort of jumping off what we talked about with I think when we were talking about the X-Men, we would. What's the X-Men? I forget who we were talking about. One of these superhero movies. Oh, Flash. When we were talking about the Flash, we mentioned the idea that or rather, I particularly said that I really want to see superhero movies and comic book movies doing their own original thing.
Yeah.
But is there a particular episode or a storyline that you would like to see in the next movie?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but they've kind of touched upon it. But the fact that Leonardo leaves the gang and he goes off to literally find himself. Okay. I think that's a really strong storyline. That's there in the cartoons also, and it's done across, I think, a couple of episodes. It's done really, really nicely. Sure. I think that is one thing. I think Karai's entire storyline of her kind of, I think it's with Leonardo or is it with Raphael? I'm not sure. I think that's also a really strong beat. There is one really major one, which is too dark, which is the one where Raphael dies in the comic books, which I don't think they would ever do.
I really hope. No, they very well could. Unfortunately, I think they very well could, because we're still in this whole, gritty reboots. That's what everybody wants, right? Like, no, not
I don't know whether he's revived again by the mutagen or anything like that. But I did like, talking about original storylines that I haven't seen yet, but they kind of touched upon in this movie, is about them using the mutagen to kind of turn back into humans.
Yeah.
I think that, again, the idea of it is really strong.
Yeah.
So even if that is there actually in the comics, and if they do something else with it completely, but the idea of them becoming human beings and living that, that's really interesting. And I think that would be, it would be good if they continue this. I mean, obviously the third movie has to be about Krang and, Dimension X. And, Shredder finally making his comeback and all that stuff. So, but I think if they ever go beyond that and want to kind of dive slightly deeper or go into a newer kind of storyline, is that if they ever recover mutagen, or even as a gag, maybe suddenly they're in Dimension X and they all get thrown into a river of mutagen and they just come out human. That would be really interesting to see, even if it's just a fleeting moment.
Yeah. So I have 3, really random episodes that I just remember loving so much, because I had a bunch
from the animated show?
From the animated show, because
I'd love to hear
for years I just had random VHS tapes lying around of random episodes. So I've seen a select few episodes more times than I can count. So I know them like the back of my hand, and they're really amusing. And I'd love to see any like tiny little trope reference to any of these things. One being when April becomes a cat.
Yeah,
she becomes a cat woman.
I remember.
And like for some reason, like the entire city is like overrun with cats.
Season 4. Season 4 or something.
This is before I even knew what the word season was in terms of TV. Like this is like how old. Like I saw this when I was like 8 years old.
Understanding. Yeah, but it is broken up into those seasons. Yeah.
So there's one where she becomes a cat. That would be just hilarious to see like Megan Fox get transformed into a cat for like 90% of the film.
Not impossible because so many humans are being turned into animals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She just pulls a Professor
She become an anthropomorphic cat. Yeah.
That's one. Obviously, the Baxter fly thing would be really cool to see.
That would be really good. Yeah.
But since we're talking about Dimension X, now that seems like a likely candidate for a follow-up to this. There was one episode where somehow or the other they end up back in time with the dinosaurs.
What?
Yeah, and the evil plan that Krang has, he takes a Technodrome, he goes back in time, somehow the Turtles find out about this, so they follow them, or they get stuck chasing after him.
Yeah.
And basically the Turtles are in their car, right, in their van, these guys in the Technodrome, and what Krang is trying to do is like harbor the physical strength of the dinosaurs and build, and basically he wants, his plot line is Jurassic World.
Okay, cool.
He wants to build a super dinosaur type thing, and take that to destroy New York, and so the Turtles have to fight dinosaurs. And they befriend the dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs fight alongside the Turtles.
What was the name of that main dinosaur which they... Indominus?
Indominus Rex.
Indominus Rex. Yeah. The I-Rex. God damn it, Steve Jobs. He has a reference in this film also.
Yeah,
he's
which is amusing.
Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs. Just like that was funny. That was really good. There are a lot of good moments. Even that one where they're in Brazil. And he basically, I think Michelangelo comes face to face, or Raphael comes face to face with an actual turtle. And it just like, it's like, well, this is awkward. Yeah.
But no, I think that with something we've mentioned a couple times, with the new Transformers movie, potentially having this Hasbro tie-in.
So who's the Ninja Turtles are owned by Nickelodeon, yeah. So,
now,
yeah. So
I don't know who they were.
They were never. They were made famous by merchandising, but they were never owned by Hasbro or Mattel or any of these companies.
But again, since right now,
this seems very much in the Bayverse.
It's in the Bayverse, exactly. And so the thing is, like right now, since we're very much in the middle of this wave of like tugging at the heartstrings of people born in like the 80s and early 90s, and like bringing back your old childhood characters and making these live action versions of them.
Yeah.
If we're still in the middle of this wave, I think that the best way to like ride this out is to just give us everything you've got, like just put it all together and just make the Infinity War of the Bayverse.
Yeah.
Like just marry all these people.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
there's like, it's completely nonsense.
It would be nonsense and fantastic.
Exactly.
And you never know. It could be amazing.
Exactly.
It could actually be a really good movie, yeah.
Because the thing is, now we can make it look believable. Like, dude, like it looks good. I'm in this world. Like, I'm not second guessing the fact that there is a brain
committed
fighting a bunch of turtles. You know what I mean? So, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, I just, and just overall my feeling for this movie, and this is the main conversation that I had with Bashab about this. She's like, I don't know what you guys were talking about Apocalypse. Why did you not like Apocalypse? And, why didn't you enjoy the movie? I was like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it like I enjoyed, Dawn of Justice. Like, I enjoy it. There's a difference between enjoying a film and whether it's a good film.
Right.
Like, and I think the first time I ever thought about this whole concept of enjoying a film that could be bad is the movie Eurotrip, I remember, which came out really, really long time ago.
I remember
that was the first movie I went for on my 15th birthday. And it was a 15+ movie in Dubai. So I went for it and I was just so thrilled. And they still edited out parts and I was like, yes, I'm still watching a 15. Yeah. And I enjoyed it. And, I was having this discussion with one of my friends, and I was like, what's your favorite film? This is when we were in school. He's like, man, Eurotrip. I was like, dude, how can that be your favorite film, man? Don't you mean Shawshank Redemption or like The Godfather or something? He's like, no, man. And very innocently, he just said, he's like, no, man, just because I know it's not the greatest film ever, it doesn't mean it can't be my favorite film. And that just rings true for so many things these days, where, I can enjoy Dawn of Justice without having to, think it's a critically amazing movie. And similarly for this movie, man, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed Apocalypse. I don't think it was a good movie, and because that movie takes itself so seriously, we have to approach it with a certain sense of seriousness and just say that,
that's why they call popcorn movies.
Yeah. Because, but the thing is that when a movie claims to be more than just like, has to be a very, visual art piece, and the X-Men always touches upon themes which are, very serious. We talk about the LGBT community a lot. This movie, while, there's a certain sense of, displacement and the fact that, they're shunned by society, and, there's that whole moment where, Michelangelo starts crying and he says, we're monsters. He said we're monsters. So, I mean, yeah, that's there. But again, it never takes, like in a few seconds after that, he's laughing and joking about.
I feel like those moments are just put in there so that the writers convey the fact to the audience that like, hey, look, we are actually intelligent people that know that know how to make a compelling storyline.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're not gonna be married to that idea. This movie's not about that. But just so you know that we can do that, we're gonna give you this. Like, you're aware of the fact that we are aware.
Definitely. Yeah, I completely agree. And just the fact that Deadpool and this kind of movie works for me, as in I enjoy watching it. I'm not gonna think about it twice. Yeah. But, I still enjoy watching it. And, this movie has been trashed. Okay, like, you check Rotten Tomatoes, you check it. 30%, yeah.
But what do you expect?
But, I mean, like...
What did you expect?
But then, you need to watch it from... you're not going to
have to have the right mindset.
Exactly. You can't go into this movie thinking, wow, this movie's going to... But then there are movies, like, for example, the Lego movie, which I still say is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Beautiful surprise.
Yeah. What a completely... Yeah, what a surprise, right? I mean...
But then again, the stakes were not that high either for that movie.
And we're gonna...
Nobody knew what to expect.
Yeah, but this is what this is what we will talk about when we talk about Angry Birds and, when we talk about Warcraft and things like that. But that was my main thing about Angry Birds, that why wasn't it Lego movie? Anyway, so we'll come back to this topic of a good movie versus... an enjoyable movie, But I think this is a good example of the latter.
Some movies are popcorn movies, some movies are a genuine, like, piece of work that is, like, has a lot of meat to it.
Yeah.
It's like some movie, I just think of it like just a meal. One movie can be like a full-blown steak.
Yeah.
That's beautiful and
somebody likened this to a meal, saying that this is like a nutrition-free meal.
Yeah, this is like just like binging on like Coca-Cola and like chocolate.
Junk food. Yeah.
It's just you're eating junk food. It's a junk food movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Like you said,
it's junk food in the movie.
It's the kind of movie that you go after like a couple of beers, like you did.
Yeah, there's a whole moment.
You shouldn't watch Shawshank Redemption with a couple of beers in you.
He drops a slice of pizza in the middle of that. I just thought that was brilliant. Yeah. It's just so stupid and it's just funny. Yeah. Anyway, I loved it.
Alrighty. So then, that's the show.
Yeah, and if you guys have any comments on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if you have any comments on about Casey Jones or April O'Neil, or whether you liked or didn't like the movie at all, let us know, man, because we really did. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
I had a great time.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that Warcraft does not disappoint. So you guys can mail us contactgeekfruit@gmail.com. That's CONTACT, geekfruit@gmail.com. And
Geekfruit HQ and all the other stuffs.
That's right. And
pretty simple.
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and just write to us, man, and we'll read them out at the beginning of the show. But I feel like we should do a poll just before we go.
Okay.
TMNT, Out of the Shadows. What's going to happen in the next installment?
I suppose. Yeah. Well, yeah. All right.
Yeah, what's going to happen in the next installment?
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's a terrible question.
That's
we all know.
Question. Yeah. We all know exactly what's going to happen. No.
Is there going to be a next installment, TMNT, Out of the Shadows?
Yeah, of course there'll be a next installment. That's not poll worthy.
So think of a poll quickly. If we made less sounds and more thought, I think we'd get somewhere.
Okay, wait.
Okay.
No, I don't have anything.
Cool, we'll think of something and we'll let you guys know. Since we're doing this pretty much on the fly, we will let you know. Please check out our Twitter or at GeekFruitHQ for all the polls. And everything else, you can find us at geekfruit.in. Bye, guys!
Yeah, there it is. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. If you have some time, you should also check out The Seen and the Unseen, which is a podcast hosted by writer Amit Verma, who takes a close look at the seen and the unseen aspects of various government policies. Only on IVM.
Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcasts, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcasts galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.